Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And I just went to go pull the 2 Melody Beatty books, and when I looked at the meditations for today, both of them sound fantastic. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through both of them because they're both kind of a little bit longer, but I'm going to try. And the first one, From the Language of Letting Go, it's called Taking Care of Ourselves Emotionally, and that's for December 16th. And then the one from Journey to the Heart is called Be an Angel, which I have no idea what that might be about, but I like the title of it. So I guess that one's not too long. It's just like 3 paragraphs. It's real short, I guess. So it's not real short, but it's short. So let's get into this first one, From the Language of Letting Go, and then we'll see if we can get to both of them. Okay, Taking Care of Ourselves Emotionally, December 16th. What does it mean to take care of myself emotionally? I recognize when I'm feeling angry, and I accept that feeling without shame or blame. I recognize when I'm feeling hurt, and I accept those feelings without attempting to punish the source of my pain. I recognize and feel fear when that emotion presents itself. I allow myself to feel happiness, joy, and love when those emotions are available. Taking care of myself means I've made a decision that it's okay to feel. Taking care of my emotions means I allow myself to stay with the feeling until it's time to release it and go on to the next one. I recognize that sometimes my feelings can help point me toward reality, but sometimes my feelings are deceptive. They are important, but I do not have to let them control me. I can feel and think too. I talk to people about my feelings when that's appropriate and safe. I reach out for help or guidance if I get stuck in a particular emotion. I'm open to the lessons my emotions may be trying to teach me. After I feel, accept, and release the feeling, I ask myself what it is I want or need to do to take care of myself. Taking care of myself emotionally means I value, treasure, explore, and cherish the emotional part of myself. Today I will take care of myself emotionally. I will be open to and accepting of the emotional part of myself and other people. I will strive for balance by combining emotions with reason, but I will not allow intellect to push the emotional part of myself away. It's a really great emotion, but it's a really great meditation. I talk on my videos a lot about emotional sobriety, and emotional sobriety is who am I when I put the drink or the drug down, right? And I think often it's a term that we talk about really later in sobriety. I'm going to apply this to people that are not in sobriety in a second. But it's really about, like, once I put the drink and the drug down, who am I? Am I angry? Am I sad? Am I resentful at people? Am I a game player? Like, am I manipulative? Am I calculating? Like, who am I emotionally when I put the drink or the drug down? Because really, we are taught that drinking is but a symptom of, our addiction. And so once you put the drinking and the drug down, like when you talk about 12-step programs, the only time that we refer to drinking or drugs is in the first step. Other than that, it's not about the drinking or the drugs. It's really about working on yourself, about finding a higher power, cleaning up the wreckage of your past, working on character defects, making amends to people, being of service to others, and carrying that message to others as well. And you don't have to be in a 12-step program to do those things. You can have been in a cycle of abuse. You can be in unhealthy relationships. You can be in an unhealthy career. You can be in unhealthy friendships. You can be in all kinds of situations that are unhealthy, right? And once you get out of it and you get yourself healthy again and you start working on yourself emotionally and taking care of yourself emotionally, what we do is we start learning to set boundaries and limits with people, right? One of the conversations that my friend and I have, my best friend Tanya and I have, is that often people don't know what to do with that. When you start taking care of yourself emotionally and you set boundaries and limits for yourself, people will say, like, they don't like it. They're not comfortable with it, right? Because for so long, maybe we've taken abuse. Maybe for so long, we've taken people talking down to us, or people being condescending to us, or people not being careful with our emotions, right? When maybe what we've done is we've played the martyr, or whatever, and maybe even played the victim, but we've allowed people to treat us that way to some degree, and that's kind of a Dr. Phil thing, but I really do believe that. I believe that people treat us the way that we teach them to treat us to some degree over time. I don't believe that children are of that. I don't believe that children are treated the way that people teach them. But I think that, like, as adults, I think often we teach people how to treat us, right? And then we accept the love that we're given. You know, it's the whole idea. I love when Oprah talks about, you know, accepting that your expectation is that you want gallon-sized love, but you're from a pint-sized person, meaning that that person doesn't have that love to give you, right? But we continue to stay in those situations. I just talked about this not too long ago in here. But we continue to stay in these situations, right? Whether it be a friendship, whether it be from a supervisor, whether it be from a romantic relationship, family member, whatnot, of wanting all of this gallon-sized love when the reality is they don't have it to give. You know, and we stay in it and we expect more and we expect more and we expect more, when really it's about us setting limits and boundaries, you know. But the moment that we do, sometimes people don't like that. People are like, ooh, now you're being a bitch. You know, oh, well, now that you're setting limits, or you're saying that I'm being condescending to you, or now it's about you. Now you're being nasty with me, right? You know what? Because people don't like that. They don't know what to do with that. Often when we start getting healthy and we start changing, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this before, but if you've ever started getting healthy and you've started taking care of yourself emotionally and started setting boundaries and limits with people that are not healthy with you in your life, this is where the term gaslighting comes along, right? But we don't even have to talk about gaslighting. What it is that when we start getting healthy and taking care of ourselves, people in our cycle don't like that, right? Because it makes them very uncomfortable, because they either have to change or they have to leave. And so that gives them like these two ultimatums. I either change and I get healthy too, or I have to go. Because they're not going to allow me to continue to do this, right? When for years and years and years, maybe, we have accepted what they've handed us. So I think, you know, it's really important that we take care of ourselves emotionally and we allow ourselves to feel these appropriate emotions, you know, and we allow ourselves to let it go through us, you know, fully let it go through us. I say a lot that feelings are not facts, and it's one of my husband's favorite things to remind me of. But, you know, what I mean by that is this, and I was taught this by somebody else. It's in recovery. It's not like I came up with that idea of feelings aren't facts. It's not an original idea. I've heard that from many people, right? But the idea is, don't make decisions based on feelings, okay? Because you have a feeling about something, don't make some long-term decision or base some long-term plan on that, is what it's saying, because your feelings might change from day to day. That doesn't mean that you don't have a right to your feelings. That doesn't mean that you don't have a right to be angry, pissed off, hurt, sad, whatever, happy, ecstatic, excited. You know, I think sometimes those are the things too. It's like, I can remember like when my mom and I would be like out in public or whatever, and she would be like, ah. It was so funny because Alex and I we were watching this episode of Friends when we were in California. And there was an episode when Phoebe is, she's like running in the park and she's running like this. And I think is it Monica that's running with her? Rachel. And Rachel's running with her. And she's embarrassed to run with her because I think probably most of us can relate to this with our parents or somebody. So Rachel doesn't want to run with her because she's running like this and whatever. And so Rachel says something to her and she says, but it's so much fun to run like that and be like a kid, like, you know, or something like that. And so the next day Rachel's like out and she's running in Central Park and she starts doing it and she runs into Phoebe and they're like both doing it together. And, you know, I can remember being with my mom places and my mom would like start dancing or whatever. And I'd be like, Mom, like, you know, whatever. And she'd be like, she would say to me, you never want your old mom to have any fun. It's one of my biggest regrets that I ever kind of like, you know, told my mom, you know, because over the years, I then felt more comfortable, whatever. But that was not my issue. Why was it my issue to feel comfortable with my mom? I should let her be whoever she wanted to be, you know? I think that's kids being embarrassed of their parents to some degree. My mom was under the belief that kids needed to be embarrassed by their parents every once in a while. She would say that. She would say, I think parents or kids need to be embarrassed by their parents every once in a while. You know, not like in a humiliating kind of way, but like, my mom, one time she saw this guy and his daughter played harp at our school. And so he was bringing in her harp. And so like she was like this huge thing and he was like parked up front and my mom was like waiting there for me and she was talking to him. And she said, your daughter like lets you bring this thing in like every single day? And he was like, oh yeah. And she was like, well, like my son would never even let me like walk through the halls of the high school, which I wouldn't have at that point, right? And he said something to her about like, she can say no or she can carry it in herself. He was like, but he goes, I think kids need to be embarrassed by their parents every once in a while. And my mom never forgot that. She always remembered that. So of course she'd always like dance in public. I'm glad that she did, but I think like that was my stuff. That was never my mom's stuff, and I think like, I'm so glad that she always was just herself and allowed herself to be whoever she wanted to be and whatever, I don't know. I think maybe we need more embarrassing moments in this world, and I think it humbles us. I do, All right. So let's read the next meditation, and that is from the Journey to the Heart, December 16th, Be an Angel. I often imagine that we keep the angels very busy. They tell us to turn here or there, warn us of dangers, say, listen and look. They tell us things will be okay, and they're sorry we hurt. Angels in our lives encourage us to hope, dream, dare, and trust. They point out beautiful sights. They shine a light on our path, so we know where to step next. Most of us are not as sure of ourselves as we'd like others to think. We need guidance, faith, and hope. We need to know we're on track and that someone cares. We need the angels to help us. The angels in our lives give us a kind word, share a kind thought, offer a helping hand, and a warm smile. Their words empower and comfort us. Their touch heals. Their loving looks warm our hearts. They radiate love and faith. I've learned it's easy to be loving, one man said. What takes work is to be kind. Make it easier for the angels and easier for others. Practice being loving and kind. Be an angel too. Wow. What a fantastic post-it note to stick up on the mirror to remember every day, right? To be loving and kind. And, it's something that I say at the end of my vlog every day is that I say, be kinder to one another, love one another a little bit more, and be kinder and love yourselves a little bit more. But I do think that it's one thing to say it, and it's another thing to remember and act on it. And I think it's very easy for us to forget to be kind and loving towards others, in talking to my sponsor and in talking to my best friend and other people, when I talk about improving myself and talking to my therapist and things like that, one of the things I talk about is angels here on earth, which I truly do believe that there are. They may not even know that they're angels. And I think that angels come in very different shapes and sizes. Like, I don't think that, one of the things that I learned over time was that, that angels can be, I don't know how to say this, that, angels can, they can be very, very poor and struggle financially, or they can drive Mercedes and carry Louis Vuitton purses. I don't think it matters, Some of the greatest people that I've ever known in my life financially had it all, but they were some of the kindest, giving, most caring, loving people I've ever met in my life, right? Some of the kindest people and the loving, caring. I don't think that intellect or academia has anything to do with it. I don't think where you come from has anything to do with it. I think it really comes from how you treat people, My mom always said to me that class has nothing to do with what you have. It has to do with how you treat people. And, I've really, really learned that in my life, that you can really tell a lot about somebody by how they treat somebody. And, it's interesting because I was reading this thing the other day. It was on Instagram, and it was how to really tell things about people that and it was how do they talk to people or treat people in stores when no one's watching. That was one of them. The other one was how do they speak to servers in restaurants and things like that, and how do they talk to people on the phone at doctors' offices. And it's so interesting. When you do kind of start watching for that kind of stuff, and I'm not saying that I've never had a bad day and talked to somebody in, a way that I didn't need to come back and, and do a 10-step inventory on it and apologize or make amends to that person, because I have. But I think when you start looking at how people talk to people, you can really see, and there are so many people that I know that rarely ever get rattled, and they always talk to people so nice, and I love that, and I love that person that just, okay, so this is what I was going to say in talking to my therapist and things, and I know maybe in my 50 years on this earth, I've known maybe 5 people that didn't know each other, were completely, all different places in this world, didn't have really anything in common, except for that they appeared to me to be angels here on earth. And what I mean by that is that there was such grace, about them and everything that they did. They had a peace and a calm about them. They never, no matter what came their way, they never really got rattled or upset about it. They never complained. They hardly ever complained. And yet, even when they had so much going on in their life, so much tragedy, so much trauma, so much personal stuff themselves, it's like they were able to carry it and it was like weightless to them. And yet they were able to continue to give to others and take care of others as well. And just be, a beacon of light and smile and wish people love. And to me, those are angels here on earth. And that is something that I want to be like. I want to be more like that on a regular basis. And I think to be more like that, you have to act more like that. And you have to think more loving and kind to be more like that, I do think that there are people that are just born that way. I really do, that are just some of the kindest souls out there. And for the rest of us, we're a work in progress. But that doesn't mean that we can't get there, right? And I think that that's something that I aim for in this world. So to those angels out there, if you're one of them, thank you. And to the rest of us, we'll keep on working, right? Anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.